Well, you have to admire Donna Miller-Mackie, Leila, after that disappointing loss in the top seed position last week in the Queens, come right back and end up in the championship round.
You really do, Denny. I talked to Dana a little bit about that, and she mentioned to me that she had not felt that way in an awful long time. Well, actually never. In '83, when she lost the Queens title, she said she just kind of blew it off. It was early in her career, but last week was just devastating for her.
Brought up an interesting point, as Dana re-racked in the opening frame, that perhaps next year or in years to come, the top seed in the Queens would maybe get 2 games. If you lost the first game, you'd come back and make it a double elimination event. I mean, that's the way the tournament is spent throughout the week, as you can go into the losers bracket and still re-qualify for the championship round. So it is food for thought.
We would have to go to a 2-hour telecast, wouldn't we?
Well, either that or just have 3 matches and the title match, or 2 matches in the title match.
You'll have to take it up with the WSBC.
I know we've opened up a can of worms, but obviously that's part of the fun. But it really, realistically, it's tough to win 6 matches, get on the show, and lose in 1 game.
And you are the only player out of the 5 that was not given a loss previously.
That's exactly right. Spare up in the opening frame for Donna Miller-Mackie, and now Donna Adamek, who also was on the telecast a week ago, goes back to work here on the championship round pair of 73 and 74. Beautiful bowling center here in Dearborn Heights. Satellite Bowl has 84 lanes. A double house. There's plenty of open bowling, I'm sure, if you want some. And Donna opens up with a very nice shot in the right-hand lane.
What made it convenient for the players that did not make the match play round this week to just hop on over to the other side. Practice a little bit. Actually, they didn't have to go anywhere else.
Donna Adamek with the lowest average on this particular pair of lanes of our top 5, averaged 196. Now, this is something you're going to see a lot of this evening because it is warm indeed. In the boulders area, you're going to see a lot of tape and rosin being used here tonight to try and get a favorable grip.
Well, they have very high ceilings here, Denny, and it makes for very warm bowling. I remember making the telecast here one time, and I was also very warm down there. Things have not changed over the years.
Well, Rick Francis, the LPBT's lane man, is trying to come up with a new solution to try and cool things down a little bit. If you could look inside the silver bucket, it's full of ice right up to the brim. And what Rick is trying to do is to get some cool, moist air wafting out over the championship round pair, so perhaps that humidity would hold the lanes together a little better. They wouldn't break down as quickly. The only thing we have to worry about is perhaps a thunderstorm here at Satellite Lanes.
Well, the lanes have always played extremely dry here, Denny, throughout the years, and there was no difference here this week for the right-handers. The outside line was extremely dry. The ball hooked very early in the first 15 feet of the lane.
Of course, on the PBA Tour, many times if you watch their national telecast, they have a number of soaking wet towels laying in the channel on the adjacent pair of lanes just to get some moisture into the air, which obviously will help the lane condition. Dana Miller playing the outside angle, and she throws a beautiful strike. And I asked her about her success in this particular bowling center over the last 7 or 8 years.
It does feel good coming back, and I had a disappointing loss last week, and I don't think I would be out here this week if it wasn't coming back to Satellite Bowl, so it's really nice to be here.
Also says a lot about Mark and Diane Voigt, the proprietors here, and Dana said they really treat the professionals like professionals.
Well, they've often said that they really enjoyed hosting the women. The Pro-Am has always, they've always had a very good turnout for their Pro-Am event. Their fans have always been extremely happy with the women, and that's nice to be able to come back to a center year after year knowing that you make the people in the area happy.
Dana Miller-Mackie has never won a title from the number 5 position, but she doubles in the 2nd and the 3rd and takes a 22-pin lead over Donna Adamek. And now Donna opts for a re-rack on the right-hand lane. Last title came in October of 1991. That was in Delaware. And she'll be back to defend, or I should say 2 years later, go back and try and win another title. She really likes that particular bowling center.
We'll be back there in October.
Yep.
Once the fall tour starts up, it's the 2nd week into it.
Well, they stop in Baltimore first?
Baltimore first.
Dennis Baldwin's Bowling Center. 10-pin left by Donna Adamek. She has been steady here the last month.
Just you know, we mentioned the caliber of player she was in the previous telecast, how she can make 3 Queens championship rounds. Just her ability over all the years. Donna Adamek with that 5-step approach does not use all of the approach like we see many players. Let's see here how high her backswing is. A lot of power. Big deep knee bend. This is the spare. She converted the 10 just by the hair of his chinny chin chin, though.
She took an extra look after she let it go. She thought she might have missed it, but trails by 22. Would like to get something started here early on in match number 1. And oh my, that ball overreacted a little bit, hooked right up through the nose.
You'll see a lot of the balls taking left turns off the right there, especially when Leanne Barrett comes out. Her ball might need a blinker. Watch here in about the last 15 feet of the lane. She's swinging the ball quite a bit, all the way out to about the 4 board. Turn that left blinker on, because that ball's going that direction.
I mean, at 50 feet, that looked like a heck of a shot.
Extremely dry back end. As Lane to sweep to oil 20 feet, buff to 30.
Boy, Donna and Dana are at opposite ends as well in terms of their success in this building. We mentioned Dana has already won twice here. Donna Adamek's never even made it into the top 24. This is the first time she's ever been in the championship round here.
Well, with a player that hooks the ball as much as you know, Donna can hook it, she may end up having to throw something very hard and getting a lot of over-under reaction with certain equipment here. So she fares better when there might be a little bit more oil on the lane.
Good heavy roll. And Dana's mom, Dolores, looks on, and that was a favorable expression.
Former professional bowler, used to compete out here when I first started.
Last week had to be a brutal week for her. Second time that Dana has been the top seed in the Queens, and the second time she has been turned away.
Well, it's so important to come away with the crown.
Now, that's a major victory.
Well, and it's so highly respected among the WIBC officials and the peers and everything to win the Queens event.
Leads by 34, may make it 44. Boy, she really juiced that shot. A confident shot on the left-hand lane.
Well, we'll see her confidence just coming out tonight, Danny, as she is, or how she does really like this pair of lanes, this whole bowling center. Like you mentioned, she really juiced it, got a lot of fingers in this ball. All 3 fingers, actually.
Yeah, got 1 extra one.
That's right.
Second re-rack now for Donna on the right-hand lane, and Miller-Mackie probably not even thinking about last week. You have to move on out here on the professional tour.
Well, she mentioned that she just wanted to quit bowling after last week. Completely quit.
Nice roll, good pin action, and a strike for the Mighty Mites as Stad Bill looks on.
And he told me to say something nice about him because he had grandsons and nephews and everybody.